In 2017, as the Connecticut River Watershed Council celebrated our 65th anniversary, we launched into our next 65 years with a bold new vision for our work, and we put a fresh face on the organization as we became the Connecticut River Conservancy. To celebrate all the good work that's been done over the decades and to connect with many passionate river lovers, we recreated a 1959 trip our organization took along the length of the Connecticut River, New England's great river, from the source to the sea.
My name is Davidson, Dr. Joseph G. Davidson of Equinox Mountain in Manchester, Vermont. In order to learn my job as president of the council and to help formulate a progressive program for the organization, my girlfriend and I decided to make the 410-mile trip down the river from the source to the sea.
The Davidsons' trip showcased significant challenges for our organization. Well, what better way to see the positive changes for our rivers since the time of Dr. Davidson and his girlfriend than to take their trip again? So I, Fisk, Andrew C. Fisk, and my amazing wife Karen, and lots of our partners and friends set out in late July 2017 to hear the river's story. In my role as executive director, I get to do many great things, and this was one of the funnest yet. We called our adventure the Source to Sea Jump-In Journey, and boy did we take every opportunity to jump in. Our first stop was, of course, the river's source, the fourth Connecticut lake where it all begins. Like the Davidsons, we had to hike to reach this inspiring space, but the trip today is a bit different. Hikers follow a path that winds back and forth across the U.S.-Canadian border, over hilly rock outcrops, and through thick, bird-filled forest. That is the border. And so, Karen, right now, you are in Canada, and I'm in the U.S. Imagine that!
It's very exciting for me. I made this energetic climb up to this lake, and I work on the river, and I love the river, and to be up here and see where it starts is almost a spiritual experience for me. I'm delighted to be here.
The Davidsons collected a large water sample from the lake so they could show everyone on their trip how clean the headwaters were compared to water downriver. We collected our own water sample and we headed to the rest of our journey.
In Canaan, Vermont, we began our first 3 days of paddling. Andy wore a red hat just like Dr. Davidson, and I wore pearls just like Mrs. Davidson. Well, sometimes I wore the hat as well.
But you never let me wear the pearls. We launched on a gorgeous morning with a group of 5 boats on our way to Guildhall, Vermont.
Much as I envy that Mrs. Davidson was treated to a relaxing seat on her journey, I looked forward to paddling. We headed to a new adventure to meet many new friends along the way.
Connecticut River is the lifeblood of New England, and the diversity of habitats and the ecological niches that this provides between the Great Northern Forest and Long Island Sound is unmatchable.
One of the high points of my summer was going on their Source to the Sea trip. Rivers, we take them for granted. What I think people should know is if you love a river, you should take someone and you show them that river.
A really special way to experience the river is by camping along its banks and having it serenade you through the night. The Connecticut River Paddlers Trail, a collaborative project of over 25 organizations, including the Connecticut River Conservancy, it's a jewel in the river's crown. Whether you settle next to the pristine floodplain forest of ferns and silver maples, or on a beach at a bend in the river, beauty surrounds you everywhere.
The quiet of the fireside was magical, especially as the sun set and the stars turned bright.
We're just taken off from 3 days, 3 glorious days on the upper Connecticut River.
And some beautiful mornings, just calm, quiet mornings, letting the river take us downstream, listening to the songbirds and just enjoying it all.
Well, it wasn't all flat water paddling. We did have a few stretches of fun rapids.
Fun?
We were a great team, and you were terrific working in the bow.
Yahoo!
And do you remember how great you felt when we finished?
Yes.
Raise your paddle. Come on. Yahoo!
I did not enjoy it.
After we put out at Guildhall, Vermont and headed south to meet the good folks of Lyme, New Hampshire, we remembered a very special part of the Davidsons' trip.
The parade.
The high school band was waiting for us, and my girlfriend and I thought this was a high point of our trip.
And wouldn't you know that when we arrived, the Limetown Band was waiting for us, and we headed off for a river parade with marching music and boats of all sizes and shapes. And our most intrepid traveling partner of the trip was the Concorkie.
The Concorkie has made the entire Source to Sea trip, all 63,000 wine corks.
Been sailing all these years. What I need something to do after I retire. The cork boat was the obvious thing to do.
We had a big event when we dropped it in Martin Meadow Pond to see if it was in fact going to float. And it did. I mean, it was a great time.
We love the Connecticut River. And that's the truth.
As we finished the parade, we were met by one of the many, many elected officials throughout the watershed who are responsible for ensuring that our rivers are protected and restored.
Oh, what I love about the Connecticut River, kayaking, swimming, just being with friends, fond memories. Beautiful spot.
And on we traveled to join with the Mill River Pigs, a tremendous group of river lovers that we met in Cornish, New Hampshire.
We're a group of kayakers that started out real small. We started with 9 people, I think, the first year, and we had it up over 100 a few times. So it's a growing thing.
We spend a lot of time on the river. I spend a lot of time cleaning up the river. There's anything from tires to toilets. There's all kinds of stuff that's been taken out of this river, and it's getting cleaner and cleaner every year thanks to the people that take care of the river, and I applaud them right here. So it means a lot to me. Yeah.
It's wet and it's dangerous.
Talk about the river.
River pigs!
Hey, pigs!
This old Native American with a really nice display of flutes. He says, why don't you play one? You go to your favorite place where you feel the earth smiling at you the most. You listen for the wind. So I took the flute, went out on the river, I picked it up, and I just couldn't stop. So I've been playing flutes ever since. If I'm on the river, I'm complete. And if I'm helping make the river better, I feel better about myself.
And you don't have to travel on the surface of the river to get to the sea. People have fun on our rivers in all kinds of ways. At the West River in Brattleboro, Vermont, we met up with one of the river's most enthusiastic champions.
Hey, this is a great day. We're having a great time. This is a great diver. This is so much fun.
I've been diving for 30 years, and my favorite place to dive in the world is the Connecticut River. When I moved to Vermont in the 70s, there was only 2 inches of visibility. The water was so polluted, it was so sad. I now have 20-foot visibility diving. It's so awesome, I love it.
Our organization has been around for over 6 decades, but the Connecticut River watershed has been the home of Native Americans for over 10,000 years, and listening to their connections and concerns was a vital part of this journey. The Abenaki bands and tribes have an important perspective on the river and how it provides and makes meaning. We met up with 2 tribal advocates in Northfield, Massachusetts, an area of tremendous archaeological and cultural importance to Native Americans.
It's our connection with our ancestors. This song is used for calling in the people to gatherings like we have here, and also for the grandmothers and the grandfathers, and hopefully we might call in some of the old spirits, some of the old Sakokis, the old ones. Igo, Igonde, Igo, Igo, Igonde, Igo. We're very much concerned about the archaeological and the sacred sites that are up and down the river. These electric companies have a lot of power over these areas because they have control over a lot of the land and the water. Also, we're concerned with access to the water in places where our ancestors have fished and have lived.
It is the heart of this place. You could think of it as the lifeline, the blood. The water flows through the center of this land, and I feel that one of the most important things people can do is to reconnect with the place that they're in. And so I am planted in this place, and it is my responsibility to maintain that relationship, and the river is a critical part of that.
The river gives us so much: a sense of place, a fish caught to make a meal, a respite, a physical challenge, a sense of healing. In Northampton, we met the remarkable women of Paradise City Dragon Boats. All of these women are cancer survivors. They meet to paddle and to support one another.
Our main mission is to get cancer survivors out on the river with us, training and returning to fitness and health. We call ourselves a survivors and supporters team. Some of the most poignant moments are quiet moments, actually, after a hard piece, a hard 5 minutes or a hard 10 minutes. And people are resting and recovering their breath, and you just see two people sitting next to each other share a special moment of appreciation for the fact that they're out here having had cancer, but having returned to health and being able to do such a strong, powerful workout together on the river.
To experience dragon boating firsthand, we had a great group of local leaders and friends of the river join us for some friendly competition on a beautiful summer evening.
As drummer on the dragon boat, you help everyone paddle in unison on the drum beat.
But you do remember that our boat won, right? We didn't have to go too far for our next stop in East Hampton, Massachusetts, with the Oxbow water ski team and a terrific river lover from a local radio station.
I'm Monty Belmonte in a wetsuit.
There you go. First time?
Not first time in a wetsuit, and first time since I was 6 years old trying to water ski, when I didn't have the core strength to pull myself up on water skis. So this is going to be an interesting endeavor for sure. I live in Turner's Falls, right on the river, so the river is a big part of my family's life. I also have been really active in the Connecticut River Conservancy's Source to Sea cleanup over many years. It was one of the first things that I, as a radio host with my radio station, got together with listeners and said, hey, let's do something good together, and pulled some trash out of the river.
It's really fun getting to water ski with Monty and the ski team, even though it was a really cold July day. And hey, I almost made it over the jump.
I've been pretty much on the river my whole life. You know, our family had a boat growing up and everything, and so water skiing just came naturally. We probably have the best water ski site in the Northeast. Really a great place to ski here at the Oxbow.
You can't really understand the Connecticut River unless you spend some time with rowers. The Connecticut has hosted rowing regattas since the 1860s. So I hopped out of the canoe and into the number 6 seat for a friendly race between Holyoke Rows and the Pioneer Valley Riverfront Club of Springfield, Massachusetts.
I love the river. I love rowing. I think rowing and sports have a lot to offer in terms of learning about yourself and learning about others. We educate the public on the fact that it is clean. It's a Class B river. It's swimmable, it's playable, it won't hurt you. Holyoke has this beautiful resource which is underutilized, and we want to bring the community to the river.
When my family first got involved with river activities, mainly rowing, which was 6 years ago, we knew nothing about it. And slowly, one by one, starting from our son up to me and my wife, we both started to enjoy rowing on the river. We realized when you're on the river, you can sort of transport yourself anywhere. Partly because you're in this exercise mindset and the endorphins are flowing and you're sort of in a zone, but partly you look up and all you see is green trees and blue skies, and you realize you're 10 minutes from downtown Springfield.
Since 1959, we have spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to build and upgrade wastewater treatment plants on the river. Back then, there was a lot of raw, untreated sewage going right into our rivers, and the Davidsons wanted to show how bad the river looked as it passed through our cities.
And how it smelled.
So to see how much progress we've made, we recreated their sampling right in the heart of Springfield, Massachusetts, and you can clearly see the progress.
Let's take a look at that. Right?
That looks pretty good.
We've made a lot of
pretty
progress.
good. Yep. I really enjoy working on the river and making sure
that our effluent is clean as possible so that people can come out and enjoy activities on the river.
By day 12, we've made it to Enfield, Connecticut, and we met up with one of the many scientists working to understand and protect our rivers.
So the Connecticut River, in my time here, has seen a lot of changes. In the 30 years that I've worked here, I have seen dramatic reductions in pollution in the forms of fecal bacteria and the concentrations of nitrogen, phosphorus, and dissolved metals here in the Connecticut River. We do still have challenges with other organic and man-made compounds like pesticides and fertilizers, flame retardants, human healthcare products, and pharmaceuticals, and trying to figure out how to reduce that into the environment.
This remote-controlled boat is actually a sophisticated water quality monitor that allows scientists to collect river data quickly and accurately. The Connecticut River Raft Race has been held every year since 1974, so we made sure to plan our trip so we could join in the fun.
Well, we're going to be in a raft race.
What else would you do if you're going to compete in a raft race but dress up like a shad? We're the first fishing.
You're the first guppy we've ever had.
It's a shad!
Oh, a shad! I'm sorry. Fire in the hole! After a while, it's like a big club because everybody knows everybody and everybody comes back year after year. Once you do this once, you're hooked.
I'm a lousy fisherman, but I really enjoyed Norb Heil showing me around some of his favorite fishing spots. And when you go bass fishing with Norb, you get to go on a sweet ride that goes really fast. No paddling for us that evening.
I think people are unified in clean water. It's bipartisan. Everybody respects it, and I'd like to enjoy it for many generations to come.
It is the last day of the journey. All this time I've been thinking about a slogan that the Connecticut River Watershed Council used before it became the Connecticut River Conservancy, and that was "The river connects us." And I really feel that that's been absolutely what defined our time on the river.
And what is still so clear to me is that while we have made so much progress, there are still urgent challenges that remain. Some of the problems that Davidson saw are still problems. They saw cars and trash in the river, and so did we.
Look at this. This stuff's been here for decades. Some of these cans have the old flip tops off, so we spent 10 minutes and cleaned up our beach. Pick up your trash.
But for the last 22 years, our Source to Sea cleanups, over 20,000 volunteers, have removed over 1,000 tons of trash and debris from the rivers. Our river is getting cleaner, but we aren't done yet. Rivers are dynamic and changing, especially the Connecticut as it flows across the landscape, carving oxbows and meanders created by the glaciers thousands of years ago. Erosion and movement of riverbanks is natural, and a healthy riverbank is one that has trees and shrubs and vegetation right down to the river. But too often we've chosen to get rid of healthy riverbanks to create a view or to farm more of a field. The Davidsons saw this problem too.
Erosion is eating into farmland, and we hope that someday this destruction can be reduced, if not eliminated. At Holyoke and South Hadley, several thousand feet of rock-fill riprap has halted this type of severe bank erosion.
But now we know that rock riprap is not the answer. At the Conservancy, we plant thousands of trees every year, and we rebuild damaged riverbanks for people and critters. And instead of rocks and walls, we use engineered log jams and vegetation, a green solution that recreates a natural, healthy riverbank. For centuries, our rivers have made power for our communities, and when the Davidsons celebrated the hydropower dams on their tour, we weren't thinking hard enough about the ecological costs of hydroelectric dams, how they block fish from getting up and downstream, and how they damage river habitat by taking water away from large stretches of river. In the 1950s, we were just beginning to work hard at getting fish past our dams, as the Davidsons saw at Holyoke.
We saw the unique fish lift designed to aid the spring migration upriver of the Connecticut River shad.
That work continues today to ensure these hydropower dams balance the needs of all of us who use our rivers, including those with fins or gills or wings or antenna. As our manufacturing economy in New England has changed, relics are left behind. These are the old mill buildings, some of which are finding new life in towns and cities as they turn back towards their rivers. While the Davidsons saw the oil tankers traveling upriver, today the barges are gone, but the tank farms and collapsed pilings remain. And where they launched below the Wyoming Paper Company dam that powered the pulp and paper mill, today that dam is partially gone and the mill buildings slowly fade into rubble. There are thousands of deadbeat dams that no longer serve a purpose, and taking them down one at a time will restore habitat for the many fish that need to move up and down our rivers to flourish. This work will take generations, but we're playing our part by removing these dams, opening up hundreds and hundreds of miles of habitat every year. And our work is not just about rivers or the fish. Our work creates not only healthy ecosystems, but healthy economies and communities. And today, the greatest challenge to our vision is about adapting to a changed and warmer climate. A climate that's going to bring more rain, more frequently, and more risk to our communities. Very few scientists were watching how our climate was changing in 1959, but today we're working head-on to confront this very real challenge. A challenge that has been left too long to politics and is now our most urgent work.
As we finished this journey, sailing into Long Island Sound on our last evening, I came to appreciate what so many people had done before me to make our part of the world a better place. Thank goodness for people like the Davidsons and other citizens who said enough. They helped protect this river for me, my family, my neighbors, my friends, and future generations.
Our work at the Connecticut River Conservancy will go on for many more decades, and it's particularly critical right now. But we can't do this alone. We invite you to join us and do your part to make a lasting difference for the future of our rivers. Join CRC today as a member to keep this work going. Volunteer your time and invite your family and friends to join you. There's so many ways that you can get involved, because together we can build a better world. Visit ctriver.org to learn more and make a difference today. See you on the river.